We are Steve and Jill. Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Stephen Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWit, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This is episode number 2064, and all week this week, Jill and I are going to be talking about what works and what doesn't work in your land business. Why are we qualified to do that?
Oh, gosh.
Why are we qualified, Jill?
Oh, because we know a lot about what doesn't work. Yeah, we got 30 years behind us. You want me to keep going?
Yeah,
you do. I have 16 almost years behind me full time at this. What else? We've got 18,000 deals under our belts.
I think it's some number like that. I think it's a little closer to 16,000, but it feels like 160,000.
That's true. It feels like 3 million. That's good.
So we're going to tell you very candidly all week this week. Every time Jill and I sit down to do topics for the week, we look and see what people are talking about, both within our group and then outside out there on the internet. And these are 5 topics that we picked that we would like to maybe bust the myth associated with these topics and give you the real answer because we've made money and screwed some stuff up in every single one of these topics.
You know, it's funny. I when people come to me like, hey, there's this new thing that's called fill in the blank. And I'm like, yep, been there, done that. What do you want to know?
I had a kid come to me a lot of years ago and say, there's this new band called the Beatles. It's just obviously new to him. So right. On Monday, which is today, we're going to talk about how, does investing in tax liens or tax deeds work as part of your land investment business? We'll spend some time on that today. Tomorrow, we'll talk about subdividing in land and whether or not it's profitable as part of your business. Wednesday, adding mobile homes or houses to your business. Thursday, which types of the 5 types of land should you be flipping and where? Where in the country should you be doing it? And then Friday, we're going to look at, Jill and I are going to be very candid about how we have kept food on the table for 30 years doing this.
It all comes back to land.
It sure does. Each day on the show, we answer a question from our Land Academy member Discord forum, and we take a deep dive into land-related topics by your request.
Yep. Okay, Vahid wrote, Dear team, for estimating price per acre, the size of the property matters. I would look up recently sold comps in a given geographic location within a certain acreage range, which would be comparable to the property that I would be considering. All good. Some use this technique for blind offers. So how would you group the acres in order to price the land?
So this is what he's getting at in general. And this is a good basic concept for everybody to either now be aware of if you're new, or if you've been in this for a while to refresh. Property, the smaller the property is, acreage size, let's say 1 acre, it's more expensive. It's more expensive as a price per acre than a 40-acre property, let's say. So a 1-acre property you might see on the internet for $50,000 to $80,000, something like that. And then there's right next to it, there's a 40-acre property that, is listed for the equivalent of
$1,000 an acre
or less,
5 or something,
or $5,000 an acre. And that's just how it is. It's in economics, it's called the bottle case theory. When you buy a bottle of beer, it's more expensive than if you bought all 24 at the same time. It comes back to beer and sport too.
I'm like, why does it always go there? It's kind of
beer
funny.
And sports, and
you could have used a carton of eggs or something. I don't know.
The bottle case theory has just been around forever.
Yep.
I don't think people buy 1 egg.
No, but we buy hard-boiled eggs by 6 in a package.
People understand baseball.
I do that.
Baseball, beer, and members having relations with members of the opposite sex in most cases.
Great.
Those 3 things.
Wonderful.
And the land business is about the same.
Yeah. Great.
So what Vahid is asking here is, what are the categories that I should deconstruct to look at property? Should I look at 0 to 1, 1 to 20, 20 to 40? What's the deal? And so here's the deal, and I'm going to try really hard not to explain how to build a watch when you ask me what time it is. Our entire land system in this country is based off of England's land system, and everything starts with 1 square mile, which is 640 acres square. And in the 1800s with the Great Land Giveaway, the federal government subdivided most of the country into a range township scenario and blocked all of the contents of range township into 1 square mile. And so you'll still see in a ton of places all over the country, 640 acres for sale, specifically in Nevada. From there, properties got homesteaded and then started to get subdivided. And usually it was farmers or ranchers that wanted their kids. They wanted to give their kids properties so that they could stay close, work on the farm or the ranch or whatever. So they started cutting them in half. So you start with 640, you go to 320. Half of that is 180
or
160. Yeah, 160. Half of that's 80,
yep.
Then 40, which is why you see 40 acres everywhere.
A lot.
40 acres. It's the title of songs. And then 20, 10, 5, 2.5, and everything below that. Right. So I would heavily recommend that's how you do it. You start with 640 and divide by 2. It's really interesting. This topic was all over the Land Academy Discord channel, and somebody in there asked ChatGPT this question in very very intelligently phrased question. And they said exactly what I just said. How scary is that?
I wonder where ChatGPT probably got it from you.
No, I wonder. There has to be some stuff in there.
We're going to have enough content out there. I haven't Googled us lately, but I bet it's kind of comical how much content is out there, especially after how many 2,000 and I don't remember podcasts.
So the takeaway from this is it's not logical.
Yeah.
You know, you would think it'd be different, but the reason that you want to use those step ups or step downs, depending on how you look at it, when you look at price per acres, because that's usually what's out there. If you go on Land and Farm and look at ranch property, it stops at 80 acres, not 60. So it's not logical. It goes from 40 to 80 and, 80 to 160. Mm-hmm. I hope that's clear. Is that clear?
Yeah. Did a great job. Speaking of sports, before we go into the main topic, you're talking about, the baseball, the commonalities of certain people, and it leads to their traits and things like that. When you and I are watching the World Series, yay Dodgers, by the way.
Yeah. Yay Dodgers.
I loved, they throw all these crazy stats on the screen for you as you're, during a TV timeout or whatever it is, they're talking and changing pitchers most likely. Anyway, my favorite stat of all stats this whole year was showing the average size and weight of the players per sport. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hockey players are tiny.
They're little, but those baseball players, boy, they outweigh them all. That's what I was loving.
What's the message there, Joe?
I swear, more than football. It was funny. I'm like, baseball players know how to drink beer.
I think that's part of it. Yeah. Joe and I have a personal relationship with several umpires, and
one of ours is behind home plate.
They can drink beer
during the
I
series.
can personally confirm that.
Yeah.
Today's topic: does investing in tax liens and tax deeds work as part of your land investment business? Yes, it does. But I'll tell you,
done.
Here's the deal with in tax liens and tax deeds, and I'll do a light definition really quickly.
That would be great.
Jill owns a property, and she owns it in Arizona. And every year, sometimes twice a year, depending on where it is, she gets a tax bill in the mail, like it's 1958. And she gets the bill, and she pays it, either pays it online or writes a check. And at some point, for whatever reason, she stops doing that.
I get tired of writing those checks.
Maybe she died. In fact, that's the reason the vast majority of people are back on their taxes is because they're died, or they just lose complete interest in the property.
Yeah.
And just say, you know what? I've been writing a $28 check, and back east, it's way more than $28. It might be $2,800.
True.
For a piece of property that my husband bought, my ex-husband bought, my dead husband bought.
My dad
I'm tired of it.
Me.
I'm tired of it. And so I'm not paying anymore. So a period of time goes by. And depending on what state you're in, let's say it's tax deed state, the taxing authority starts to send you notes and letters. Then they eventually send you certified letters. And then they eventually send you one big package at the end. Ask me how I know this. That says, look, Jack, the auction's a month from now. We are going to auction your property off. And you have you follow these procedures. They involve cashier's checks, walking into the county, or a bunch of stuff that's really inconvenient with all kinds of administrative fees that have been accumulated over the years. And if I just blow it off and shred the package, ask me how I know that, the property goes to auction, a literal auction in a tax deed state, and Jill wins. I don't know. We switched positions on this.
That's true. You win. It was my property. You buy it. You buy it then.
Yeah, Jill shredded the documents.
I did.
And I go to the tax auction, usually sitting next to her, and we buy it. That's what happens in the tax deed business. And I built this entire company based on that, exactly what I just described, buying tax deeds all over the country. This is long before I had any real social responsibility in life and long before I met Jill.
Can we talk about this for a moment? This for you really started in the 90s. And I would like you just to say, I was telling someone the story about this. Someone brought this up recently to me, like it's a new thing and they just found it. And I've said, hold on a moment.
Tax deeds?
Yeah, I really need to. I said, this one used to be in his own 4Runner with his own camera, driving around, looking at property, going to these auctions, reviewing this stuff ahead of time, and picking out what you want. I remember doing this with you. I came in on the tail end of that, and that was almost 16 years ago.
Yeah.
He put me in the car and had a list that he had highlighted, and we went to an auction, a couple auctions, and I remember I was in charge of keeping track of how much money you spent at that time. That's the story. And I know you're going to say the pros and what was good about it, what was not good about it. So.
Fast forward to today, it's still, you can still do this.
Right.
And there's procedures, but enter the internet. So the internet now is where it all happens. If you go to Los Angeles County and sign up to be on their list, you can do it for free. They have this online only, but I've been to the LA County tax deed auction. It's the largest tax deed auction in the world. And they do it every year. And they used to do it in a stadium, believe it or not, over the course of 2 weeks. That's how much property and how much money would flow through there. Really interesting cast of characters in there buying land. It's people that are small business owners or buying shops, that just have tax defaulted. So my whole thing was to drive around, go to these do a lot of research, go to these tax deed auctions. Hopefully there's not a lot of competition when you're there. It's an auction. It's just everything that you've seen and heard about auctions is probably true. And buy a bunch of property and then resell it. We would resell it on the internet and mark it up. A lot of times, pretty dramatically mark it up, 5 to 10 times what we paid. We were used to, it was regular for us to buy properties for $10 or $11 or $15.
Mm-hmm.
So the only reason that I put myself through that, because it was just a life on the road situation. It was fun when I look back on it. I got to meet all kinds of crazy people from small towns all over this country. The only reason I put myself through that is because I didn't yet figure out how to send mail out. Sending mail out does away with all the actual in-person work. And the mail sorts out. The mail does all the work for you. You send out 1,000 letters. There's maybe 8 or 10 or 20 people that receive one of those offers and they choose to call you. So now instead of you putting all this outbound energy to bring a few properties back, you're sending out a bunch of letters, which takes just hours. And then all the energy is put on the people that are receiving those letters to contact, in our case, Jill, to say, will you please buy my property? I'm tired of paying these taxes. Really makes a lot of sense. So here's the deal. When you stare at a tax, it gets real easy to get excited about this. I still do it every single time I see a tax list.
True.
I'm on all these lists, by the way.
True.
So
the emails come out and you're
constant
like, let's do it.
Emails, yeah. It's just fun to get on the road, go look at land. And that's what we're doing in this rig, by the way.
Yeah.
You have a list of, in a tax deed situation, hundreds and hundreds, and sometimes thousands of properties that you have to analyze. And so you sit down in a dark place somewhere and take a lot of time and analyze the tax deed list to see if the properties work. Very often, these properties are not taxed correctly, which is why they're on their list. All these properties that are on these tax lists, lien or deed, have problems.
Yeah.
They either have ownership problems because they're dead, or there's actual problems with the land. And that's very often the case. So now you're sifting through 1,000 not sifting. You are going through the due diligence on a property that you probably have no chance of ever buying.
True. That's the waste of time.
When you send the mail out, you get 10 back. You do due diligence on 10 of those and 5 of them work or 2 of them work and you buy it. It's really, really efficient. Tax deeds are not efficient. Can you make money? Hell yes. It's an incredible amount of work. Tax liens are worse And I'll end on this. This is how tax liens work. It's the same story. Jill stops paying. A lot of time goes by. It's in a different state. It's in a tax lien state, not a tax deed state. And she shreds the final package. They have an auction, only that they're auctioning off the lien, not the actual piece of real estate. So whoever wins the auction, they have won the opportunity to pay the actual back taxes plus an administrative fee. Now they own the lien. And it's Jill's responsibility to either pay that person the amount of the lien. It's usually 16% in the West. It's different percentages all over the place. So if there's $100 of back taxes on a property that she let go, I go buy the tax lien, and now I own that lien. I buy it for $116, and then some other third party comes to me and pays me a premium on top of that. Then what? Who actually owns the property then? Jill technically still owns it. I just have a lien on it. I can, as a lien holder, foreclose on it. Or I can sell that lien to somebody else who can go foreclose on it through judicial foreclosure process. Usually there used to be a thing where very back in the day and back in my day where you could apply for administrative foreclosure. So the county would do all the work for you. And they would hand you the deed at the end for like $25. It was the greatest deal ever. No one does that anymore. There's too much liability. It's too complicated. It's illegal. It's a true lawsuit. It's a legal action. My whole point in it is this is very, very complicated. It's incredibly time consuming. I've seen tax lien lists for counties in the 30 to 40 to 50,000. And so now I'm going to go analyze 50,000 properties. I don't think so. Right. What do I do instead? I send out a mailer or send out a mailer to all the lien holders. That's effective. Mm-hmm. So yes, investing in these things as part of your land business, it can be a great complement if you surgically know about properties in a place that you've sent mail and do a bunch of deals, and it can work. Mm-hmm. Are you going to buy houses that way and then for $3,000 like late night TV says you can?
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah. That's pure fiction. There may have been, before my time, I think that may have been possible.
Right.
There's always stories like that, but there's stories about people pulling the slot machine handle and winning too. And it's the same thing.
Yeah.
If you're new, stay the hell away from this. If you're retired and bored.
That's it. That's what I was going to say. I was waiting for the bored word. That's what I was going to say. You're experienced and bored.
And your husband, your wife kicks you out around 10:30 in the morning because she can't stand talking to you about whatever your problem is that day.
Yeah.
Get involved in tax liens.
There you go. That'll eat up all your time.
There was a trend recently that proved to not work. I keep saying I'm going to end on this, but I really will end on this. Where Wall Street like companies, because you can make a lot of money in tax liens just sitting at your desk, would buy they would go into a county and buy every lien. They wouldn't even analyze it, knowing that they're going to get a 16% return. And that backfired because nobody redeemed the liens because the property sucks.
Yeah.
Unless you really know about this and you want to spend a couple years learning, I could write the book on this.
I know.
That's the truth.
I know.
You know, and they're looking at I will end on this. I could write the book on this.
Yep.
I haven't written a book, and we don't do it anymore for a reason, because there's a better way, and it's send the mail out.
Yeah.
Join us tomorrow where it's on Tuesday. We discussed same kind of type of thing. Is subdividing land profitable when you add it to your existing land business? And spoiler alert, yes, it is. You are not alone in your real estate ambition. We are Jack and Jill. Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.